Hello, welcome to another video, and today we're going to look at some lower trapezius type of activation and basic strength exercises. They're not really enough to finish the job, but they're good in the beginning to try and learn control and get some basic sort of understanding of how it works. So let's look at this first one where I'm just using a light cable machine. I could use a TheraBand if I wanted to. Just something light. You don't really want it to be too heavy because otherwise you'll recruit all the wrong things. So let's have a look at how it works. So basically I'm just in this half kneeling position. I've got my arm out straight, and then I'm just basically going to be pulling my shoulder back not too intensely, because I don't want my arm to get involved, and you'll probably see it better when I do my right hand, but I'll let it extend out, which is very important to do this slowly, and then I'll pulling it back and down. So right at this point here, I'm trying to engage down in this direction. So you can see how the cable's pulling me this way. So this angle is really favouring me in getting the lower trapezius to function. And then when I'm letting the cable go, as you can see right there, it's letting the scapula come around, which is exactly what I try to do with the wall slides drills, which are the other ones that I use for this area at times. So it's a great way to build the eccentric strength into the lower trapezius, which is often the harder part to do. So you'll get a better visual of it on this hand. So you'll see as I'm pulling, see how my elbow is kept straight. So I'm not letting my elbow get involved. So that's why I can't have the weight too heavy. And then right at that point there, I'm trying to hold it nice and still, so that as it's pulling down in this way, the scapula is rotating into a little bit of retraction. You don't want too much, but I'm trying to keep that nice position of it, so it's in this posterior tilt. And then on the eccentric part, when it comes back around, right there, then it'll rotate back out that way, which is, if I'm doing this slowly, I'll be able to build the strength in it so that it doesn't just dump down into a bad position when I let go of it, because a lot of the exercises that activate it do this part really well but do the following part really terribly. So this is why this exercise is like a really good version that I use in the beginning, and it obviously would lead to the single cable pull, where that person has a really good feeling of how that scapula should be engaging and setting itself so that it doesn't, when their arm releases, it just doesn't dump forward all the time. Alright, so this is one of the exercises I'll use. Let's have a look at another one. Okay, so this is another exercise that I might use, which is basically the wall slides in a horizontal position. So normally I do this standing, which I still prefer. It's a lot easier, I suppose, in some regards. This one, it loads it just that little bit more, and because of the horizontal position, I basically can get a little bit more strength into the lower trapezius than I would if I'm standing. So basically all I've got to do is lie on my belly, just let my arms slowly reach forward, and then it's this part here where you'll see my shoulders coming down, and again I'm trying not to use my elbows to pull down too much. I don't really want that to happen. I'm just trying to get this activation of my scapula coming down into that posterior tilt, so I should feel like the workload around there. Alright, so my arms are on a V, and you'll see this in a second. I'll do it from a front on position so you can see it on a different angle, but it's just a very gently, I'm reaching up, so that'll be me reaching up the wall, and then I'm just gently engaging the scapula down and back into my shoulders there without cranking on it. And I also got to keep my core engaged so that I don't arch my lower back, because that can easily try to engage in an attempt to help out. So to be one version of how I might change that wall slides, you'll see from this angle, from a front on, how my hands will be positioned in that V, because again that's the direction that the muscle's running, so it mechanically favours it. And the other thing which I did mention is my thumbs must be pointed up. That it basically keeps the lats in an external rotation, so I can more or less be running down in this direction like this. If my hands are pronated over, it shortens off the lats, potentially gives me impingements feelings there in the top of the shoulder. So I'm basically just trying to get my scapula to gently pull down in this direction. All right, and I get, as opposed to some of the other exercises where I'm doing it just one arm, this is an example of where I'm doing two arms. With the fact that my hands are higher than my body in a way, again, it mechanically just favours the pull that I'm looking for, which I may not be able to get when I'm standing. All right, so that's another exercise I might use. Third one is with a dumbbell, so let's have a look at that one. Okay, so this is the last exercise, and basically looks like a lateral raise, very much like the horse stance or bird dog exercise, but just adding a very, very small dumbbell. So 1 kilo, 2 kilos tops would be enough. And again, like the wall slides, I want to have that thumb pointed up. So some people will refer to this as Y's or W's, where I'm basically just lifting the hand out on this angle very slowly. So again, it's probably the downside of this is it maybe activates the concentric part of it a little bit too much. But from here, if I'll just play it on the other side as well, I can also really compare the strength of the two sides. So from a front on, you'll get a better visual of the angle here. So I'm trying to get the strength of what I had in the wall slides a second ago, but it's a little bit tougher, obviously, with the weight. And I can get a better feel of a difference between the injured side and non-injured side. So this would be I'm not injured, but I'm definitely a bit better on my right hand versus my left hand. My left hand is nowhere near as effectively working as good. So it just gives you that really interesting way of trying to strengthen the lower trapezius with a very regressed type of movement. All right, but they all integrate into each other. Once I've sort of got the hang of these, I can move into the more integrated single cable pulls and also bringing into play the strengthening of the pushing action where the serratus anterior really needs to get involved. That's the only problem with these ones, is they don't really get any activation of the serratus, which is definitely, if you've got a weak lower trap, you can safely say you've got a weak serratus anterior. So you'll definitely need to involve exercises for that, and then eventually get them to integrate. And again, that's probably where you'll see the standing up wall slides, where I do get the integration of those two together, and that's why I'll prefer that one. But I might use these ones if I'm specifically seeing the person struggle, get into that posterior tilt of the scapula, which is before you need the upward rotation in the with the pushing movements. All right, but all great exercises if you have weakness around this region, and and if you follow the right path. So look in the description below, because there's links to other exercises that follow on from this. These are just beginning exercises. They're not enough to finish the job. All right, so I hope they give you some ideas, and we'll see you in the next video.